Alright, what's up YouTube? This is coming at you with another video for this one is going to be a part of my series for like business brainstorming and trying to come up with different ideas or new things that I see. The topic for this video is going to be green businesses. I don't know a whole lot about green businesses, but I know that there's a lot of ideas out there that you can start researching and start looking into to start going into new ventures and different stuff like that. So the main idea for this video is to give some of the ideas that I've come up with through just like basic research that I've seen out on the internet of ideas that may be popular or up and coming. And the whole idea of this brainstorming session is kind of just to create a draft, something that you can just get all your ideas and have the ideas flow out on paper, and then you can subtract from them later. The whole idea is just to get everything out on paper, get everything to come out, and then you can kind of work with it later and cut all the fat off later and see what you come up with as the main idea that you want to work with. One of the reasons for this is so that for this video is so that you can have kind of like the aha moment, so that if I mention something that may be something you've looked into before, you can kind of have that aha moment, or something comes to mind where you think maybe I should go deeper on this and look into what I'm thinking of. So let's go ahead and get started and get some of these ideas listed and show you kind of where my thought process came from, and show you some of the things that I found to be interesting for some of these ideas. So for the first idea I have here, I pre-typed all these out so that we don't have to go through and retype everything, is having a green product store, just kind of like your one-stop shop. Basically, you do all the research on the products and you offer these products so that the consumer doesn't have to worry about researching every little product, which this can be offered through a brick and mortar or online store, giving the customer the convenience that they need to make sure that they're having the social impact to the world, but at the same time they're not spending their whole day trying to research these products and trying to do something that they want to do, but at the same time don't have a whole lot of time to do, so you can kind of offer that service to them. So that's a real basic idea. I tried to stay basic with it, but at the same time start slowly building off that. As you'll see with this next idea, it is completely different. Seems like something that you're like, where the heck did you find this? Let me put it up on the screen here for you, and I'll show you where I got this from so that you don't think I'm completely crazy. So the next idea, biomimicry. So let me get to the explanation, and so that you can kind of understand where I'm coming with this. And as you can see, I have my notes up on here so that I can show you where I got this. But basically, this is something that's been a very niche study, I guess you say. But pretty much where I found this, I'll pull it up on the screen here for you so that you can see it. I got it in this Vox video, which some people may agree or disagree with Vox. But basically, it's a video about how a redesign for a train from a different company, how they took ideas from nature. And at first, this was thought to be kind of a creative thing, but then found out that there's a whole study on this, how basically how things evolve over thousands and thousands of years, how nature has basically designed them to do certain things just through survival of the fittest kind of evolution, things like that. So people have found you can use this for businesses, and I'll give you a short little clip of the video here so that you can kind of see for a little bit, but you can also look up this video. Obviously the title's right here, so you can look it up and watch the whole thing for yourself, but here's a little bit.
To understand how to take design ideas from nature. That might mean studying prairie dog burrows to build better air ventilation systems, mimicking shark skin to create bacteria-resistant plastic surfaces for hospitals, or arranging wind turbines in the same drag-reducing pattern that schools of fish swim in.
So that's just a little bit of the video just to show you a little bit of it. One of the things, if you watch the full video, that one of the ladies that talk in there has a book that I found on Amazon that will probably go a little bit deeper. So if you are a reader, you can look this up and understand it from a little bit deeper level. But basically, where the idea that I have comes from is, since it's a niche, you'll most likely experience less competition in this, which can be a good business strategy so that you don't have to compete so much on price because your idea is a lot more original or a lot more, it's not out there as much. So one of the ideas for this is doing, after you obviously do a lot of research and training for yourself, you can do a lot of the research for different companies or companies that just want to come up with a new product idea or new solution for their business. You can kind of be consulted out to do this, or you can do one-off speaking events or seminars at these companies, speaking for like their marketing and R&D departments and giving them basically these ideas so that they can look deeper in maybe something they haven't heard of before, maybe areas where they're not looking that might have nothing to do with their business that they would have never thought to look for, that you can offer them that training and that service there, which is the main idea for this business. So like I said, kind of a crazy idea that maybe you have or haven't heard of. Like I said, go watch the video on their channel and you'll get a little bit better idea of where it comes from and why it might not be such a far-fetched idea. So moving on to the next idea, let me clear another spot here. We have recycled clothing, furniture, consumer products business. So you'll see a lot of these stores where they're either buy and sell stores or they're bulk buying stores. So buy and sell stores would be like your Plato's Closet or pawn shops, just things like that where they purchase them at a lower price and then resell them back in their store for a higher price. So just basically doing stores like that where you can have a little bit of an impact so that you're reusing stuff that was already pre-created, and so that you don't have to go through this whole manufacturing process and have basically the carbon footprint impact of manufacturing another product that may be already out and somebody already has it. You just have to buy it and resell it. And so that's one idea, but also bulk buying, which people have done with either Amazon returns or just buying from just bulk sellers, from wholesalers, going to auctions, wholesale auctions, all different things that you can do with this idea, but basically where that idea comes from. Next idea is rainwater harvesting products. So you may have heard of this before from people harvesting rainwater, which is basically just having a barrel that they have that fills up with rainwater, and it stores it so that they can use it later for either watering their plants or using the water for some other sources. But basically what you could do here is obviously besides offering just like training and stuff like that, but selling the kits to make it, because a lot of the ones that I've seen when I was looking into this, it seems like people kind of jerry-rig things together from Home Depot, which can be a good thing if you're a very handsy person and you know how to do that. But for some people, they may want the no-frills approach. So basically just giving them a kit and make it easy for them to set up so that they can do it without having to do a whole bunch of work. So you can also do where the idea that I came up with when trying to brainstorm here was offer events pretty much talking about like the social, environmental impact, the cost savings, stuff like that, and kind of presenting the whole idea either at communal places and stuff like that, and then selling obviously the kit that you have or other services or training as an upsell at these events. So just one of the few ideas that came up with as I was kind of researching, looking through all of this stuff, and trying to just get those ideas out on paper, like I said. So moving on to the next one, we have composted soil products. So obviously you may have heard this before. Composted soil is pretty much just environmentally biodegradable items that are stacked on top of each other pretty much, and over time they degrade down back into soil that has like a lot of nutrients and stuff that's good for planting and planting different things in, and making the ground fertile to use as good soil. So one of the business's ideas that I came up with was just creating your own business altogether and just selling this stuff. And I'll show you the article that I found from theguardian.com, which talks about the world needs, as you can read here, the world needs topsoil to grow 95% of its food, but it's rapidly disappearing. So you can look up this article and read through it, but just it goes to show you kind of that there may be a demand there of something to look into possibly doing, and maybe something that you didn't previously think of. One of the other things I wanted to catch with this idea is how I came up with some of these ideas. Now this one literally, one of the things that I did is you just type in environmental cost of, and there's tons of things that will come up with, especially when you're trying to brainstorm and come up with new ideas where you might be just sitting there and can't literally think of a single thing. One idea for trying to think of what's out there, what's popular, what other people are searching for, to kind of give you an idea of where demand is and where you can supply that demand, or look into researching something where you can have a possible impact and business that you can offer a service that somebody might be looking for. So just an idea there. Let's move on to the next one. Let's see if I can get it up here. All right, business. So I have business and energy usage auditing and solutions. So basically all this is just going to a business and offering them the service of you analyzing how much energy they use and how much environmental footprint they may have just from their day-to-day operations. Maybe there's some areas of waste where they're using something that's energy heavy, where they could use a different solution that would offer them a lower energy impact and also a lower cost to their bottom line, essentially. So some people have called this environmental accounting. Essentially what you're doing here, like I said, is you're looking for weak points and cost areas that that may be causing them a lot of cost or environmental impact. And just I just listed some off the cuff ideas here, and maybe their transportation area, maybe in areas of their overusage of lighting, or maybe they don't have up-to-date lighting like LEDs and stuff like that. Some places I've heard of when I was looking through all of this stuff, of having a computer that controls your either your lighting or your power usage, so that showing that a computer can learn kind of your habits and make sure that you're using lower power rather than leaving stuff on all the time. Reducing a business's waste and showing them where areas where they're throwing a lot of stuff away when they could be reusing it or just using less of it in general. And then also possibly creating their own energy source of some sort, either through solar or wind, something like that. Just showing them their opportunity areas and opportunity costs that they may be missing, because obviously a business is focused on the product that they're selling. Maybe they're selling candy bars or something like that, so they may not have the time or the resources to look into this, whereas they may just outsource it out to somebody else like you, who can create a business and look into all that for them for whatever the price that you quote them is, and so that you can basically give them the solution that they're looking for without them having to switch their focus away from their core business structure. And essentially what you do here, some of the value propositions that you can offer them is give an overall report and solutions of like the ones listed above here. And so basically it would be a full audit of the company and showing kind of like strengths and weaknesses and everything like that. Showing them some verifiable data that they can possibly publish, because a lot of businesses obviously look at this as a social impact that they have on the environment, and so they want to be able to publish that either publicly and show the public either how green they are or how green they want to become, and how they want to lower their environmental impact. But sometimes these companies really don't know how to do that, so you can give them the data to allow them to publish this and take it out to their customers and show them, hey, that they're trying to move towards either being more environmentally friendly and stuff like that, so that you can give them that item that they need. And also one on the back end, I guess you could say, for this is not only offering them the analytical perspective, but what you could do is offer a full line of solutions. So not only showing them where their problems are, but putting together a plan of attack like I listed here, and showing them how they can get rid of it or get it done. And then ultimately, if you want to go as far as doing it for them and offering them a separate price for solving their problems and and maybe putting together a lighting plan, or putting together how they can change their transportation and make it more either electric or something like that. So basically just giving them the solution that they need, not just showing them where all their problem areas are. But yeah, just to give it the full vertical to the customer so that you can offer them the most value possible, because obviously the more value you can offer them, the more that you can charge for your services. So let's move on to the next one. The next idea that I came up with was looking into basically just the power of wind and the power, like as you can see when you drive down the highway, maybe sometimes you'll see out in the either like cornfields or out in the open, you'll see wind turbines and stuff like that. Obviously, there's a high barrier to entry there, and may not be something that everybody's interested in. But if you could bring it down on a smaller scale and make either a smaller one that can be installed on somebody's house, or depending on how big or small it is, but ultimately bringing it down to a very small scale, which may mean that this will obviously produce less power, but at the same time, what you could see here is that after getting over that barrier to entry, it may be something, you may have a target market area where it's people they don't know much about environmentally friendly products, and so you may be giving them that kind of start small approach. So this may be an area where they can make a small investment and invest in either making their house or even going as far as making a business better. But sometimes people don't want to go all in on something that they just heard about or something they just recently researched on. So you can kind of give them that, like I said, that start small approach, and give them the opportunity to try something out on a very, very small scale, and then over a long period of time they can scale that up and try other things. So you have that for both the personal use for people's homes and stuff like that, but also, like I wrote here, the business side of it, where maybe you connect the small wind turbine to like a product that they can use. So like for businesses, obviously, if it's like an office building or something where they have outdoor space, there's a lot of square footage where maybe they need lighting or something like that. So if you had this connected to a lighting source that they can put along a pathway that lights up a pathway for employees as they walk back to their cars or something like that, you can give the customer more of a value proposition there than just something that generates power, but also generates something useful for them to kind of give the customer more value to your product that you're offering them. All right, so on to the next idea, which was kind of similar to what I'm doing here and presenting to you right now, but offering just over in general more of like a green or environmentally friendly YouTube channel so that you can educate people on kind of where and what happens in this space. For some people, it's a very new thing that they don't know much about. I am a prime example of that. As you can see with maybe some of these ideas, if you're somebody that researches this stuff all the time and you look very into it, some of the things that I may say here you'd possibly may have a correction to or something like that. So obviously it's an area where there's a lot to be talked about, a lot of changing topics. So there's different stuff on that you can talk about, climate change news, discussing new studies that come out, because there's a lot of things that come out where maybe need to be explained, and you can kind of give the abridged version because some people don't want to read the entire scientific study, and so you can offer that value there by discussing it and showing the main points of what it's talking about, looking into new industry and new topics. So a lot of the ideas that we're talking about here can offer a lot of newer things that maybe didn't exist 50 to 100 years ago. So discussing those new up-and-coming topics and new industries and businesses that are coming about from it. So one of the things I want to show you for this that I kind of got this idea from, if it will show up here, let's see. But yeah, just to give you the background of how when I was researching these things and where these ideas may come from. So this one I literally just typed into YouTube environmental cost of meat production. So just looking into that and just seeing all of the videos, a lot of them from very reputable sources and other YouTube channels where they have a lot of views. So it's definitely an area of interest to people that want to watch it or want to learn new stuff about it because they previously did not know about it. So that was literally just kind of the small amount of research I did for this idea, showing that there is a market there and that people want to see this stuff, so that you can. And obviously, YouTube isn't the end goal here. For a lot of people on YouTube, as you've seen with other YouTubers, there's other ways to monetize your business so that you can keep it going, and so it's not just you're offering all this information and not getting anything out of it. But obviously, there's other ways through sponsorships and either like Patreon subscriptions, stuff like that, where you can offer that extra value to the viewer and get that value presented back to you in a business monetizing sense. So the other way you can take this is you can go a little bit deeper and offer this to new businesses or to businesses that didn't previously know about some of these things that are out there. So you can do this through the YouTube channel. Can also be kind of like your promotional material, so that somebody may find you on there and may message you that their business needs some training on this or something like that. So you can do it through different events or either offering courses to them on how this all works. Just some other tips, giving people DIY home tips on how they can, like I was talking about with this previous idea of the rain barrel and collecting rainwater, maybe talking about how they can do that, stuff like that. Another area of interest is like investing. Some people want to invest, but at the same time they want to make sure that there's a social impact to it. So giving people that data and that knowledge on where they can do this, how they can go about doing that, are just a few ideas that I came up with for if you wanted to start something like that through either a YouTube channel or also, as I have listed here, a podcast, which is an area that's becoming of a lot more interest to people as they either work out or they're at work and they just want to listen to a certain topic that they're interested in. So moving on to the next idea, I came up with the idea of being a recycled building materials supplier. So obviously for normal materials that aren't trying to have that social impact, it can be very easy to just get bulk items of it and purchase it from a supplier. But for areas of recycling old building materials, it may be harder to find, and so you can be kind of that person that puts all the stuff together and make sure that there's a supply of it there if somebody needs it. Some areas of upsell that I was looking at were furniture and other items made from other materials. Basically, just turning old materials that you found that were previously for a different use, turning them into furniture or something else that can be of use, and having that different use and offering a different value of something that maybe in one area was pretty much you could just throw it away and it had no use anymore, and now can be recycled into something else. Offering video tutorials on how to do this can be one of your upsells, and keeping people within your ecosystem and showing them how you can use the materials that you sell them to make these different products and everything. Offering underneath this as a sub-idea is interior design services, so showing either businesses or people basically your interior design ideas of how you can use the recycled building materials to create other products, and offering those as a service for interior design for maybe the people that don't have that interior design knack, or they don't have the skill to do that, and they just want to pay for somebody else to do it. You can be that person to do that. And then one of the other ideas I came up with as maybe not a way to monetize it, but way to offer more value to your end consumer, is showing the material's history of where it came from, and so that it can give the person or business something to talk about when they're talking about a redesigned area or somewhere that was recently built from recycled building materials that they got from you. It can give them an area of value as a discussion piece to talk about when they're either giving somebody a tour of their apartment or home or business, It's an area that they can talk about of where the materials came from and how it was reused and previously had a different use and now is being used as a way to recycle old products to give it a newer and better use. So let's move on to the next idea. This looks like it's coming up on idea number 10. Once it gets over here. So this one has a lot of different ways that you can use for this idea, but having a green logistics or transportation services, obviously you'd have to start small with this one and work your way up, but we're seeing a lot of whether it be through like electric vehicles making their way into larger and larger trucks and transportation vehicles, but using that advantage and that cost advantage to use as maybe a local delivery system, but as you work your way up and try to work on the scale, you could even go as far as a long distance deliveries service, because there's obviously a lot of environmental impact of trucks and different things transporting stuff a long distance across the country. So offering maybe a greener approach to that and showing that either that cost savings or that lower impact that businesses can present to their bottom line. And then one of the other ideas I came up for this one was talking about the intra-business deliveries. So maybe there's some companies where it's just between warehouses, like there's a warehouse that's an hour away from one of their other business buildings, and maybe they constantly need to deliver stuff back and forth through there. You can offer that as a service to them so that they're not constantly spending a lot of money on transportation costs, and show them how they can lower that cost through using your more environmental approach or through the electric vehicle approach, stuff like that. So just another idea that we got going here. Next one is once we get it up on the screen here. So I called this one the agriculture, gardening, planting, consulting kind of area, and a lot of this harbors on botany, which is just different study of plants, and arborist, which is study of trees. One of the ways I came about this idea, let me pull it up on the screen here, was, if you've noticed on YouTube, there's been a large campaign going for basically planting trees and raising money to plant trees. As you can see in this Smarter Every Day video, I was watching this and kind of came up with the idea through this, because one of the things he was talking about was through this campaign, there's so many YouTubers that were getting this campaign together to plant 20 million trees, and so one of the title of the video came down to how to plant 20 million trees. So basically, what was the logistics behind it? And so it was like, so how is planting 20 million trees sounds great and all, but it was basically how are you actually going to do that, and what are the logistical kind of areas of that. So he was going into this in this video. You can look up this video for yourself and watch the whole thing. It's 13 minutes long, but basically I wanted to show you this small portion of the video where he was talking about just the overall effects of planting in the wrong areas where it may not be an area that plant or tree can thrive. And so understanding that and going into deep detail of how if you plant something that's not native to that area, it will basically die out, and whatever planting or environmental impact you were trying to have basically goes to zero, because the plant didn't last long or the tree didn't last long. So one of the business ideas I came up with when watching this was just offering that as a service to either businesses that are looking to, there's a lot of the businesses that are looking to get either like gardening or planting services to kind of like liven up their campuses, and so kind of giving them that strategy of what to plant, where to plant it, how to take care of it, how to manage it. So kind of putting that full range in place for them so that they can understand what they need to know before going into it, and instead of and showing them that it's not just go to Home Depot, buy some flowers, put it in the ground, that's it. So showing them the right way to do it, showing them that the right way to where they can actually have an impact rather than just plant something and then it dies 2 days later. Obviously, that's an exaggeration, but offering that as a service, because when I was looking into that and watching that video, it was something that you didn't really think about, was that yeah, planting 20 million trees sounds great and all, but obviously, as the video showed, if you plant it in the wrong place, or you're not understanding the way that the plant actually works, you can end up basically having a net zero impact, because obviously all the trees and plants would die because they're not native to that area. So just an area that I saw for a business opportunity there, and just something to look into. So moving on to the next idea that I was brainstorming through was a little bit of a longer one, but came up with this just having a general tree farm. So on the surface, it can seem like a very basic idea, but one of the things that you can do is I was looking this up and finding what goes into a lot of these farms are having it as a tourist attraction now, and which can be an area of opportunity, and that they're not just a supplier of either trees or other plants that produce different items that you can either eat or plant somewhere else, but also be a tourist attraction to where people can come and do something at your facility. So I came up with the tree farm, and obviously what you can do with that is sell Christmas trees, do stuff like that, which obviously is a very seasonal business that has a lot of seasonality to it. So basically there's a lot of revenue to be made in one area of the year, and then over the next part of the year, the revenue drops way down. So a way that you can avoid that is by having not only just one item, but planting other things. So you can also have a pumpkin patch for Halloween and stuff like that. Have the apple orchard for people to come pick their own items. Make it more into a tourist attraction like I was talking about. Listing some of the upsells that I came up with here for this business idea. Having events rental, so basically creating an area where somebody can host a wedding or birthday or different parties that they want to have there. So offering that kind of area to somebody so that you can sell them that service. Offering hay rides, obviously, other things that you would typically think of when you think of a farm. Offering other food so that when people are walking around, they have something to eat, and that you have another upsell in that area. Offering different merchandise for the branding of the farm, and so that you can bring other people to the farm by somebody seeing it out on somebody else wearing a t-shirt or something like that. Offering other types of food, so maybe if people don't want to pick their own food, or they don't want to go out and experience the entire feel of the farm, maybe they just want to come to purchase food that they know is from a more organic area, and they know where it came from, how it was planted, stuff like that. You can offer them that that background research on where it came from, because obviously you planted it yourself, and you're the owner of the farm, so that you would know all of that you can offer to the end consumer. But then just a couple other ones here, more like kids attractions, so that give people a reason to come there if they have a family and they need something to do, especially during the holidays when everybody's sitting around the house. But the last one here that I came up with for this idea was just making areas where it's social media friendly. So if somebody wants to take a picture, that they're more likely to post it, because it's something that came out in the picture when they took it. It looks very cool and offers people just an ability to market your business for you, so you don't have to do as much of that. So just thinking in that way towards that opportunity, and thinking of those ideas so that you can also, obviously that would be a cost savings there. If people are marketing your business for you, you don't have to spend as much on marketing, and you can spend it on other things. Just another going deeper into that idea to understand it a little bit better. So moving on to the next one, which was, or is, So having a plant-based restaurant that offers more of obviously plant-based food items. One of the things that I'll pull up here on the screen for you is this documentary that I took a look at. I literally just searched it on YouTube, but it's called Eating You Alive. Just watched it very briefly, and you can watch the full thing on YouTube if you want to. But basically, what it went into talking about was just the health and the cost benefits of going to a more plant-based diet, and how that just all the benefits that go into it that people don't normally look at, and that the American diet that we have can end up causing a lot of the health problems that we have. So offering people an avenue for that, such as a plant-based restaurant, can offer an area of people that want that convenience, and they may not want to create or cook all this food. They can go to a restaurant that will cook it for them and have a full experience or a night out, stuff like that. Because there's obviously some people out there that are already doing this, that are already eating this way, and they not every place in America offers kind of that avenue to where they can go to that place and get that plant-based healthy eating. So offering that service to them obviously brings them value, and it'll bring you value through what they pay you to do that. So that's one suggestion I would have, is to go and watch that documentary. It will show you, kind of give you the understanding of the stuff behind it, if that is a business idea that's of interest to you. But moving along, there's only a couple more ideas that I have here, and I'll show you kind of where we're going. So this one I saw as on the surface can be a little bit daunting, just based off the name that I've presented here. Obviously, AI stands for artificial intelligence, machine learning, data science, of offering green services, stuff like that. So offering this as the way I looked at this is one of the things that, if you've started a business before, or if you've studied business before, is that obviously when you're starting a small business, the statistics of you succeeding are very low, and some people don't look at that, or they don't really understand the full meaning of that. So one thing here with this idea, it offers you a lower risk opportunity for this business, because you're learning a skill that's very transferable to other industries. So to say if the business doesn't work out, you have another opportunity to use that skill in something else. So one of the things that people sometimes don't think about is that when starting a business, there's a lot of risk there that it won't work out. And so making sure that if you do start something and it doesn't work out, you do have a plan B, or something that you can switch to, just in case it doesn't work out. And I'll show you where I got this idea from, which was, I was actually watching another YouTube video that showed all of this, and it was talking about Google and Amazon, and which is the funny part of this, is that it was showing how that Google and Amazon and all these other companies were using machine learning to help them find oil, or to help other more energy businesses find oil. And essentially what they were doing is having these computer programs and stuff like that find it for them, essentially, or look where areas where there's a higher probability that it will be there. And so one of the reasons why I think this is kind of funny is that I got the idea because I would assume that you could also use this idea towards more greener ideas and more environmentally friendly ideas, so that it's not necessarily crude oil, but offering it how that AI, machine learning, data science kind of stuff can be offered in a way that can also help sustain just more environmentally friendly kind of business ideas. So moving on to the next one. And I actually got this next idea from somebody who showed up at my house, who was trying to sell us something. And he was selling a non-toxic, more eco-friendly cleaning product. He was showing us all the different things that it could do. This man even went as far as drinking it, showing that it wasn't toxic. It could have been bleach for all I know, but he was only at my house for a mere 10 minutes kind of showing this. But just kind of that's where the idea came about, was offering a non-toxic, more eco-friendly cleaning product, because obviously it's something that we use quite often, whether you clean your house every day, every week, every month, stuff like that. But offering people that option to have the ability to clean the stuff that they normally clean, but offer it in a less toxic setting, which would be more friendlier to kids if you have kids, but also have a lower impact on the environment, because obviously a lot of that stuff, when we're cleaning with that, those chemicals can come out into the environment, and it's not necessarily a good thing. So just a quick idea that I had there, not too much to say on that one, but pretty much just because somebody showed up to my house and tried to sell it to me, I thought it might be a different idea that you can look into. Obviously, that person was trying to sell it to me. You can maybe try to be that guy that maybe not do it door to door, and not be the door-to-door guy that's drinking his product, but sell it on a different area, maybe online or something like that. Next idea we have here, and it looks like this is the third to the last idea, is being a shipping pallets recycler, or turning it into a new product. So shipping pallets obviously are used for shipping on over-the-road freight and what are they called, semi-trucks. And so I was literally just typed in shipping pallets furniture, and there's all these other uses that you can turn it into something else, and all these other things that somebody may want to buy. And obviously there's an environmentally friendly impact there, because you're reusing something that otherwise might have been burned or thrown away or something like that, but turning that into a useful product so that it can be reused and upcycled into something else. So just a quick one there. Moving on to the last few ideas I have here. Let's show it here. And this one actually came from, I believe it was a CNBC TV show called $Billion Buyer. And once it shows up here, is essentially the show $Billion Buyer with Tillman Fertitta, if you've seen it. And essentially what these guys, what their business proposition was, is lowering his overall business lighting costs and offering other options for using smart LEDs. And so offering that as a business solution. And in this part of the video, you can look up this video yourself. It's on CNBC Prime. It's essentially, he was testing out the product to see if the solution that they offered did what they said it did and lowered his costs. And this was for some party or something he was throwing. And so it was him basically trying out the idea to see if it actually said what they said it did. But obviously the service that they were offering had quite heavy value to him, because he could use it for in all of his other businesses, like hotels and other resort chains that he had. And so there's definitely a large value proposition if you can offer that background research and understanding of the smart LED smart lighting industry. You can offer a plan of attack for these businesses that maybe their core business is doing something else, so they don't want to spend time researching and trying to figure out this stuff. They'd rather just pay somebody else and have it executed for them. But if you can plan it out for them, execute it, and even give them the product and deliver everything, installation, everything, I would fair to say that you'd offer a pretty good value proposition there. And obviously we've seen this on CNBC. It's a product that's already, or service that's already offered. So if you're interested in that, I would go ahead and look as a kind of intro to it, kind of look at this video. Obviously it's only 1 minute and 47 seconds long, but just to give you an idea of where it came from, and that are other people doing it, and so there may be an opportunity there for you to try it. So moving on to the last idea that I had here, kind of a simple idea, one that I've seen before when I was in Chicago, but just the idea of using other things other than cars as a tourist kind of attraction. And this one, which you may or may not have seen before, there's many different types of this, but there's things like these party bikes here that are something that where multiple people can be on it at once and you're just driving around the city. Can be one idea. Obviously, when people are looking for an attraction or something to do, sometimes that can involve driving around or something with a high environmental impact. So if you can do something that has a less or lower impact, something that you can offer to people that value as well as something fun to do. There is something like that that's on land, but also this interesting one that you may not have seen before, which was the pedal bike for the boats. So here's one of them, which was basically the same thing, just on a boat. And so some of these businesses offered the ability to drink while you're doing this, which I'm not entirely sure on the laws. You'd have to check the laws for each city, each county, each state, and just make sure that it's that you're able to do that. But one of the value propositions, like I was talking about, that they had there was just a way to have fun, and obviously you have a lot lower impact because you're pedaling the boat, you're pedaling the bike, and you're doing a lot of the work. And so just offering people that ability to have fun but also have a good social impact at the same time. So that was my last idea. Hope you guys got something of value out of this. Hopefully you got your aha moment and now you're going to be a YouTube Lambo millionaire. But yeah, just hopefully you got value out of this, or made you think of something different, or made you think of something that you may have already previously seen, but thought of it in a different light. Maybe you weren't thinking of a certain upsell that I talked about, or a certain value proposition that I talked about. But that was basically the idea of this video, was just to throw you those ideas out there and go through a brainstorming session with you so that you can think of your own ideas. You can dig deeper on maybe an idea that I talked about. But obviously these are ideas that came from my opinion and from, like I showed you here, just things that I was watching, things that I saw on the internet, or things that I saw when I was traveling, stuff like that. But just to kind of give you that, show you how it can take. This video is obviously a lot longer. Show you how long it can take just to make a draft, and then to cut everything down from there takes even more time. So that obviously there's a lot of research that goes into this before getting on that $1 million, $1 trillion idea. So there's a lot of stuff that goes into it, and just getting through that and walking you through that was basically the idea that I had here for this video. So as you can see, we created like 3 pages of stuff right here with just draft ideas, not even digging too much deeper into anything. But if you like this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and also in the comment section below, if you saw that I left something out, or you saw that I could done something different, or you didn't like one of the things I was talking about. If you're a super environmentally friendly person and you saw that there could have been certain additions that I didn't add here, obviously I'm an environmentally friendly novice, but if you go ahead and put that down in the comment section, just let me know what you were thinking of. That would be great for me, just to learn and improve on these videos. Obviously this is my second video, and I could go ahead and show you my channel here, but it's currently at 0 subscribers, so obviously all the help I can get at this point. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.